Just can't. I cannot do it any longer. I can't live my life like this. Oh, you're back. How long are you watching?
I cannot even get through one freaking joke before this connection goes out. How am I supposed to get through this? Will you answer me that question? How am I supposed to get through this? This is out of control.
Well, welcome everyone to Salty Stock. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Episode 3 today.
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Padme. She finally gets what's coming her way.
And can I tell you, Joseph, it's an honor to be discussing the fourth greatest Star Wars movie with you this evening.
What?
Yeah, no, not even. Oh, man. We have a lot to talk about. This is Sean's manifesto here.
Oh, you printed mine out?
Yeah, this is mine. I have some note pages.
So uncivilized.
I have a dissertation.
We are very excited to be talking about this. It's been a long time coming, long time in the works. We're finally at our place in St. Louis, so we're ready to talk about this. Let's talk about episode 3, though. Revenge of the Sith.
Let's do
it. You have this pretty high ranked. I don't think I have it as highly ranked. It's still, I think we both agreed, the best of the prequels. But there's still some problems with it, and we'll talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. And just like the other two videos we've done, we'll start from the beginning of the movie and kind of work our way towards the end chronologically. We start with the space battle over Coruscant. The ship that we fly underneath, I believe, is a Republic cruiser, and we follow two Jedi starfighters as they fight in the skies above Coruscant, which I think is a beautiful looking, emphasis on looking, space battle. But, Sean, how would you take it away? What did you think about it?
Yeah, I think the opening shot of Obi-Wan and Anakin flying in a one seamless sequence through the battle looks awesome. As soon as we get to the part where it starts cutting to their dialogue in their cockpits, I feel like the sequence does not land for me at all. I was thinking about all of the awesome space battles that we've had in Star Wars, and I'm pretty confident that this, if we even count this as a space battle, is the worst space battle in the franchise. We don't see any of the battle. We just see Obi-Wan and Anakin say, "There's the ship dead ahead.
General Grievous' ship is directly ahead."
And then like 5 minutes, it seems, of dialogue happens, and then Anakin again says, "There's the ship."
The General's command ship is dead ahead.
It's like,
the slow crawl.
Yeah,
slow
you guys
movement
have been really just a slow crawl here, and the buzz droid things happens. It's like, okay, this is just, it just seemed all like an unnecessary sequence to get them into that ship. And I really feel like the dialogue is disconnected. If you listen, Obi-Wan and Anakin are supposed to be talking to each other, but the inflections in their voice and everything just seems like they're not having a natural, seamless conversation. It's just like one-liner after one-liner.
Yeah, it's definitely disjointed. The buzz droids, not very interesting. I feel like the point, this whole first kind of scene of the movie, is to show this friendly relationship, like how they're good friends, even best friends and brothers. But I don't feel like this is the way to do that. This is not the way at all. It's very...
Can be somewhat entertaining at
I have a bad feeling about this.
times, but anyway, so we get into the actual capital ship, right? We get into the
Wait. But first, how did we get into the capital ship? Oh, who has their shield deflectors on the outside of the ship? Yeah, General Grievous does. You can shoot him down, no problem. Who puts the shield generators on the outside of the ship? I mean, honestly, can we just say, come on, that's
That was
ridiculous.
definitely a design flaw. Um, but maybe maybe they had to be on the outside of the ship to be functional, Joseph. Do you know, are you a space mechanical engineer? Huh?
Well, I'm just saying. Okay, so then we have this moment with R2D2 and the battle droids. I liked what you said about how the battle droids slowly go from kind of pretty cool in episode 1, a great kind of foe, to kind of being just idiotic and stupid and not like, what's the point in having them? They literally do nothing in the third movie.
Yeah, they turn it, especially this capital ship sequence, they turn into the comic relief, and I think it kind of is a disservice because, like in the first one, even Attack of the Clones on Geonosis, they're not comic relief really. They are capable. They're actually killing, clone troopers and killing Jedi and things like that. Then in this one,
oh, they slaughtered multiple. I mean, tons of Jedi.
Yeah. So this all is the kind of pinnacle of this comic relief of the battle droids to me is when Obi-Wan and Anakin get in the elevator and the doors close after the destroyers are attacking them, and they use their lightsabers, block it back into the elevator. The doors close, and it seems like 2 full seconds or maybe a second and a half pass, and all of a sudden there are battle droids in the elevator with them, and they go, drop your weapons. Obi-Wan and Anakin have time to turn all the way around, look at them, like kind of side glance to each other, and then like, are we going to do this? And then they, cut them all down with their lightsaber. And it's like, why weren't those battle droids just immediately shooting? The destroyers were shooting. When those doors opened, why weren't the battle droids also shooting? It's like they sit there just waiting for them to get in the elevator. They're here. The doors have closed. Drop your weapons. And then never shot at them. And so it's stuff like that I'm like, what's going on with the battle droids? They have just become this weird comic relief plot, device in the movie that, I don't know, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah. Have you ever seen, speaking of the elevator, have you seen the deleted scene for this part of the movie?
I think I have, but refresh my memory.
This is where Obi-Wan and Anakin start talking to each other in R2D2 language. And I'll play the clip right now.
It's broken. Can you understand what he's saying?
I'm not a protocol droid.
I'm pretty sure that beep is down.
I sense Count Dooku is above us.
Oh, yes, you're right. Beep is up, I think.
But that, to me, first of all, I'm glad it was cut out of the movie, obviously. But the fact that it was shot and done is absurd to me, that Anakin and Obi-Wan are talking in droid language.
I'm glad they cut that too. I think George Lucas with the prequels is on record as saying he was obviously making it for, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds. They're Jar Jar, the battle droids, like they tried to enter elements that were kind of whimsical and stuff like that for younger kids, but some of the stuff just didn't fit the tone of the movie. I mean, episode 3, I think we all can agree, this tone is going to get really dark really fast. And so having these like really random, irrelevant light moments, I think he was trying to counterbalance that darker tone, but it just comes across as way out of place.
Anyway. I totally agree.
So anyway, then we
get to the throne room, right? Or what are we calling this place?
Yeah, I think it's like it's not the bridge. It's some sort of throne room, or some sort of chamber, whatever, with a throne in it.
The observation platform at the top of that spire.
And obviously Palpatine is there. Dooku comes in. I put this in my notes to you. I laugh every single time Obi-Wan says, Palpatine's like, you can't beat him. He's a Sith Lord. And Obi-Wan goes, Sith Lords are our speciality.
Sith Lords are our speciality.
Obi-Wan, what are you talking about? Because, one, Darth Maul is the first Sith Lord you ever faced. He killed your master, and you were lucky to beat him. You, by some fluke, you flipped over him, and he didn't kill you, even though he had the high ground. And you sliced him in half.
Watched
So
it happen.
awesome. Let's give Obi-Wan credit. He defeated a Sith Lord and Darth Maul when he was a Padawan. That's pretty impressive. In the last movie, you fought Count Dooku. He cut off one of Anakin's arms, and he injured your arm and leg, Obi-Wan, to the point where you were immobile and could not walk or move anymore. And the only reason you survived...
Which is strange, by the way. A little flesh wound with a lightsaber.
Yes, but the only reason Obi-Wan even survived from the big brass cylinder column falling on him is Yoda was there to save him. So I'm like, how are Sith Lords your speciality? Because at best you're 1-for-1 right now, and the one that you're about to go up against, he beat you pretty bad last time. So not really sure where all of this confidence from Obi-Wan is coming.
Double the pride, the double the fall, huh? Well, we have a relatively good lightsaber battle. Obi-Wan again is bested by Dooku pretty quickly, actually. Again, it's kind of a weird way Dooku decides to deal with Obi-Wan. He's like not going for the kill. He's just going for the leg crush, I guess.
Yeah.
It's strange. Let me just crush your legs. First of all, those legs would be shattered, but I guess that doesn't happen.
The CGI looks really wonky at that point. Like Obi-Wan like slides with the thing. I'm pretty sure he would just get mangled underneath that, but that's all right. So anyway, I think Anakin continues to fight Dooku. Obviously, ends up getting the upper hand. Has both the lightsabers. We get the classic Palpatine meme of him telling him, "Do it,
Do it."
and Anakin ends up beheading Count Dooku. So I remember when I watched this in the theater, being really surprised that Dooku died so early in the movie. I thought he was going to be kind of like the apprentice to Palpatine for a little bit longer. I guess they...
No. You wanted a villain for more than one movie? No. No, only one villain, one movie.
There's no continuity with the villains in the prequels, except for Palpatine, obviously. And I understand that needed to happen so Vader could become Palpatine's apprentice. But I thought Dooku got killed a little too early. I also find it very interesting how the conversation Anakin has with Palpatine right after he kills Dooku is verbatim the conversation that Anakin will have with Mace Windu when Mace Windu is about to assassinate Palpatine later on in the movie. The justification of he's too dangerous to be left alive, and then Anakin saying that's not the Jedi way. But in Dooku's situation, Anakin did it even though it wasn't the Jedi way. And then in the Mace Windu situation, obviously we know he stops Mace Windu from assassinating the Chancellor. So kind of an interesting mirroring there of Anakin's arc and his conflict with the Jedi code and his own impulses in the dark side. But
very much.
Yeah.
Wait, before we move on, I wrote in my notes, is this the worst opening to a Star Wars movie? Up until the death of Dooku, we're kind of like, oh, this just got real all of a sudden. Is this the worst opening? I was thinking about all the different opening scenes in all the movies, and I think this is the worst one.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think it's probably between 2 and 3. I don't think episode 2 has that fantastic of an opening. But episode 3, I definitely think I would actually say the opening sequence goes for me until they land the burning ship on Coruscant. That's the entire opening sequence. And it is way too long. It's like way too long of an opening sequence, especially, first of all, I'll say this. Dooku to me is infinitely more interesting than Grievous. So the fact that we lose Dooku right away and Grievous takes his place as the villain or the head of the droid army, I'm like, not an interesting character. Yeah, so I don't think Grievous is as interesting as Dooku in the sense that I really like that the Dooku character had this kind of layered person of he used to be a Jedi, he didn't agree with the code, he fell away, he's leading the Separatists, which he thinks is the noble and moral side of the fight. All of that is very interesting to me. His kind of weird role as like a double agent type of thing where he like lies to Obi-Wan but also tells him like exactly the truth about a Sith Lord ruling the Senate. Mm-hmm. So it was just like he was just very interesting in episode 2. And so losing him in episode 3 so early was kind of a bummer.
I just want to talk a little bit about Grievous here. I know we'll probably talk to him a little bit more. Grievous in the animated anime Clone Wars cartoon show. Did you watch that?
Yes, the one that happened before the regular Clone Wars animated show.
That General Grievous scared the poop out of me. He was legit.
Yeah, he was.
This General Grievous is a laughingstock and is so stupid.
I don't think he's stupid, but I don't think he is as menacing as maybe they were trying to make him. And I think the dialogue between him and Anakin is literally stupid. Like, Grievous, you're shorter than I expected. Like, what? Anakin, nobody would say that. That's not banter. That's not like, oh, you really got him, Anakin. Like, what are you talking about?
Good give and take you got there.
Yeah.
I saw this. Have you ever seen the theory about the 3 different villains and how they mirror Darth Vader?
Yes, I have seen that. I guess there's some truth to that.
Part living, part machine. Dooku is the fallen Jedi, and Maul is the what's Maul represent? The what is it? The embrace of the dark side, or I can't remember what Maul was, but anyway, kind of interesting when you look at it that way.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely validity to that, and I don't necessarily think Grievous shouldn't have been a character in Star Wars or in the movie, but I didn't like him taking the mantle right after Dooku, because we never really see or hear if Grievous isn't obviously like an apprentice or being trained by Palpatine or Sidious. It's just like he's now the leader of the Separatist army. That's his only role, really. But yeah, so they get off, and obviously they land they are still flying half a ship, and they land it, another happy landing on Coruscant after lots of collateral damage, possibly many deaths, but nobody seems to care about that.
Yeah, they took out that control tower. Those people are dead.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Where I'll agree with you about this being the worst opening is once they land that and Palpatine's sitting in that cockpit with them as they're landing like half of a burning hulk of a ship. And I'm thinking to myself, that was a really elaborate plot that you orchestrated, Palpatine. And were you in control of that situation the whole time? Were you planning to be on a burning husk of a capital ship hurtling towards the planet's surface and barely making it out alive? Because this was a very strange plan from you.
Palpatine's plan Was he in control the whole time? Isn't there an easier way to do what he needed to do there? There's got to be. He's just got a flair for the dramatic, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't know if is this like was the plan literally to inch Anakin closer to the dark side and closer to being his apprentice? Like I don't know really what the purpose was, but it happened. But I think once you realize that Palpatine orchestrated this whole thing, that entire opening sequence is kind of ridiculous. Like this was half an hour of this movie, and
Yeah.
it really was for no reason. But all right.
Okay, let's get on to the love story of Anakin and Padme.
Oh
My
gosh.
goodness, the worst kept secret in all of Coruscant and the galaxy. I feel like Anakin and Padme think it's a secret, but like everyone else knows, but they're like, no one must know. But like everyone's like, we see you guys over there. Like Padme, you're not doing a very good job hiding behind that pillar 2 feet away from us.
Excuse me, sir.
Hiding behind the pillar 2 feet away. They live in this like penthouse apartment that is open air.
I'm so sorry.
So this open air apartment they have, does Anakin live in this apartment? Because it's open air. He presumably would be going there every day. Don't you think Obi-Wan would get a little curious, like, where are you going every night, Anakin? Like, oh, I'm going to my apartment. Where's your apartment? I can't tell you. Why can't you tell me? Because I have a roommate that I don't want you to meet. I want to keep my private life private. Like, and don't visit Senator Amidala after 7 p.m. either, because she said she doesn't like visitors after then. So please respect her wishes. It's like, what? I don't understand how they're keeping this a secret. Does Obi-Wan and Anakin, do they only meet up if they have an assignment, and for weeks at a time when they're in Coruscant they just separate and they don't talk to each other and they don't? I guess I'd never thought about this. Would they be roommates? Do they have apartments at the Jedi Temple that they're?
No, Obi-Wan is roommates with Dex's from Dex's Diner.
Buddy!
He is?
Yeah, they're buddies.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Obi-Wan's rooming with Dex, I guess. You're right. Yeah, and anyway, I agree with you. The same thing.
You want to know what you?
This is the worst kept secret in the universe, in the galaxy. I will say the epitome of the cringe is when in the evening they're standing on the balcony and Anakin's like, it's only because I'm so in love, and she's like, or no, he says, you look beautiful. She's like, that's because I'm so in love. He says, no, I'm so in love with you. Or all that stuff is like, what is happening right now?
Anna, I want to have our baby back home on Naboo. It's only because I'm so in love.
No. No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
Welcome back to the Salty Socks podcast. If you're currently watching this video, it is because we made it through a hellish night of trying to record this.
A Mustafarish.
Yes. We are on our 14th Skype call trying to record all of this. Let's start getting through some of these talking points.
But we're still flying half of a podcast here.
Not to worry, we are still flying half a ship.
We're still flying half of a podcast. Nice.
Okay, so we left off with the love story of Padme and Anakin. Who are their roommates? Who did Obi-Wan go home to? Poor Obi-Wan.
Why did George Lucas subject these poor actors to the dialogue he wrote about being so in love? Like, nobody in the history of this planet that has been in love has ever said those things to another person.
We should do a video where we print off the love scenes and just read them back and forth to each other in monotone. Seems like
That would
that'd
actually be hilarious, yes.
Let's go on and talk about the what happens next. Is it the rank of We do not give you the rank of Jedi Master, but we allow you a seat on the council.
Yes, Palpatine talks with Anakin and tells him he's going to do that he appointed him. And then Anakin goes, and it's a little awkward in the Jedi Council chamber when when Mace Windu tells him, you sit on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Master, which causes probably one of my favorite reactions in all of Star Wars when Anakin almost incredulously asks, "What?"
What?
Well, I mean, looking at it, it is kind of what are they? They're just trying to satisfy the wants of the Chancellor, right? Is that why even put him on the council in the first place? Because they want to save face with the Chancellor so they don't anger him? Are they? And if that's not the case, why are they putting him on there and not making him a master? Because they don't feel like he's up to it. He's obviously a fantastic Jedi. What is he doing wrong that they don't want him to be a master?
What's really interesting about this is how another master on the council, Mundi, redirects the conversation to an appropriate place when he asks, "What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?"
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Just out of nowhere.
It's like we're having this weird tense moment with Mace Windu and Anakin, and then it's like, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? That's what we were talking about before Anakin walked in. Can we get back to that, please?
Can we take that conversation offline and get back to what we were talking about here?
Take a seat, Skywalker. Like, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees, guys?
After that, then we get to the separation of Anakin and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is sent to Utapau to go after General Grievous with the hope that by killing Grievous, I don't know what the Jedi are just like, okay, we killed Dooku, the Trade Federation will fall. Okay, that didn't work. We killed Grievous, the Droid Federation will fall. Like, anyway.
Well, here's the thing. Before they split up the last time, there are two important scenes. One is Yoda and Mace Windu and Obi-Wan on the LAAT, where they're discussing, is he actually the chosen one? Did we misread the prophecy? And Obi-Wan makes another weird statement about, he says, "He will not let me down. He never has."
What?
And I'm like, what are you talking about? What about this,
montage footage now?
Right. Where it's like, the only thing we've seen in these movies are you being frustrated with Anakin.
Come to your senses!
Because Anakin constantly disobeys you. So it's like, he won't let me down. He never has. Like, actually, it's the opposite. He always lets you down. Anyway, so that's funny. But then also, before they split up, we get the awesome Darth Plagueis the Wise scene at the opera, which for a lot of people is the best scene in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really good. I wouldn't change anything about that scene. It is really good, classic scene. It just shows, I think it just shows how great of a manipulator Palpatine is. That he can give away so much detail and still leave Anakin kind of in the dark about what the truth is.
Still doesn't know what's going on. It's all going right over his head.
Ironic.
Which is perfectly what Palpatine wants. And the final line of "not from a Jedi."
Not from a Jedi.
Beautiful. Well done.
Yeah, great scene. But you're right. Okay, so now Obi-Wan and Anakin split up and we move into this next act of the film. And Obi-Wan goes to Utapau. I don't really have a problem with the Utapau sequence. I enjoy it. I think it's entertaining. I do laugh sometimes when Obi-Wan drops down and he's like, "Hello there." Once again, going back to my battle droid philosophy of, what in the world are all these battle droids doing? If all of them would have just opened fire, he would have gone down in a second.
Yep.
But he's like, I'm going to drop into an army of battle droids and be like, "Hello there," and trust that General Grievous will be arrogant enough to be like, No, everyone, leave him be. I'm fighting him one-on-one here. Like,
I've
what
been
is
waiting
happening?
for him.
Right. So, but it makes for a good battle. I like it. It's enjoyable. It's entertaining. We get more Obi-Wan one-liners.
Yeah, there's a lot of memes in this kind of part of the movie, I feel like, with the,
Yeah.
the opera and then the fight with Grievous. Anakin, on the other hand, he is staying put on Coruscant and slowly and somewhat weirdly is becoming more and more evil because of love, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you're going to transition someone to be the ultimate embodiment of evil in the galaxy, you do it by playing off the emotion of love. That's
Yeah.
a pretty bold move there, Palpatine. And shame on the Jedi for making love a path to the dark side. Like, I kind of feel like in some of these scenes, we see the Achilles heel of the Jedi is that I don't think they have it right here. This avoidance of love and companionship and how that's evil, I don't understand.
Yeah, I think that this is part of what Luke teaches us about in The Last Jedi, about the hubris of the Jedi Order, that they'd gotten to a place where I'm like, this doesn't make sense at all. How is love associated with the dark side? I think that is a huge red flag for the Jedi Order of where they're at this point in, galactic history in the movies. And I agree with you. I didn't like that. I didn't like that Anakin's turn to the dark side was fueled by his love, because I'll put it this way. Okay, the Jedi are part to blame here, and they have a hand in Anakin's turn to the dark side for sure. But I reject the idea that this film pushes that if you love someone hard enough, you'll do any level of evil for them. I'm like, I love my family more than anything, and I'm not going to murder a room full of children for them. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do that. Even if it's like this weird, to save them, I have to murder a bunch of, 20 little kids. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, and so that's where I think Anakin's arc doesn't land for me as much is, I think I've said this on another video, but how cool would it have been? We already see that Palpatine is this master manipulator. How cool would it have been if he could have somehow, like, either kidnapped or assassinated Padme in some way after she had the kids, the twins, assassinated them in some way, or her in some way, and framed Obi-Wan or framed the Jedi, which would have fueled Anakin to say, oh my gosh, like, the Jedi are evil. They took Padme from me. They killed Padme. Like, I'm going to destroy the Jedi. To me, that is a much more logical dark side path for someone like Anakin than all of a sudden, I love Padme so much, to save her from death, I'm going to start murdering people.
Mhm.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's like
the big jump from I love her, therefore I must kill others.
yeah.
It's not something that fits in with his character. It's not something that fits in with normal thought. It's not something that plays well on the screen, I feel like. We might be jumping ahead of ourselves when we talk about the Jedi Temple, but the scene with him and Mace Windu and Palpatine, I understand that Anakin wants so much the power to save Padme, but is it killing Mace Windu the way to go about? I never liked the scene with him and Mace Windu because I didn't think it was a very good way for Mace Windu to go out, honestly. And Anakin just I like what you say, where if Padme was able to have children and Leia could actually get to know her, like she says in Return of the Jedi,
Do you remember your mother? Your real mother?
Just a little bit. She died when I was very young.
What do you remember?
Just images, really. Feelings.
Tell me.
She was very beautiful. Kind. But sad. Why are you asking me this?
I have no memory of my mother.
That's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's a weird jump. It's very abrupt. He finds out Palpatine is the Sith Lord,
What?
and all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, he's destroying a temple. You know, he's killing all of his friends.
Yeah. And so it's just interesting, that whole thing. I mean, the Mace Windu conversation, like I said, it's a mirror image of the Dooku conversation. Mace Windu says he's too dangerous to be kept alive, and Anakin says that's not the Jedi way. And so, yeah, I mean, part of the plot of Revenge of the Sith is inhibited by the fact that we have the original trilogy. So certain things have to happen in Revenge of the Sith to bridge to the original trilogy.
Darth Vader.
Anakin has to become Darth Vader. You know, as far as we know, Yoda and Obi-Wan need to be the only prominent Jedi that we know of that survive. And so Mace Windu has to, I mean, I guess they didn't have to show him die, but, you know, everybody would have been up in arms like, whatever happened to Mace Windu? They never, you know. So this was as, I guess, a good a ending as any of he, you know, went out almost having defeated Sidious, or basically having defeated Sidious, and was foiled by Anakin. But anyway, I mean, then the scene, Palpatine gets up, he pronounces him, knights him, you know, Darth Vader or whatever. And I've always had a problem with the voice effects they use here. How, like a frog. You henceforth you shall be known as Darth Vader. Like, what?
Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
What is happening to his voice right now?
Does he just have that in his back pocket, just waiting to knight him with that? I mean, just like, oh, okay, now you need a name. I've got one ready for you.
Yeah, that was interesting too. But I mean, and then the prosthetic, I feel like Ian McDermott, who obviously plays Palpatine in Return of the Jedi, his wrinkles and scarring and stuff looks way more natural to me in Return of the Jedi than it does in Revenge of the Sith. I'm like, you would think that in, you know, 2005, when that movie came out, that they would have been more advanced in their makeup capabilities of making it look not like this prosthetic all over his face. But you know, that doesn't take me out of the movie. It's just a thing that I've noticed because I've watched the thing 50 times.
I always kind of thought that maybe it was because his wounds were flesh and he's still swollen, and as he aged, it just kind of sunk in more. That's what I agree. It's kind of jarring, the look of him. But can we talk a little bit now about the Jedi Temple? Why don't we get any scenes of him defeating? Why is it that the only scene we get of Anakin going up against other Jedi is him going up against little children? Why can't we see scenes? And I think you and I are in agreement that scene is terrible and should not be in the movie. I mean, it shows how evil he is, but show it in a different way, for goodness sake. But why can't we see him going up against other Jedi and him just destroying them? Like, that to me is a better way of showing that sequence.
So, yes, I agree with you. I don't think the youngling scene is necessary at all. It's very dark, and like it just seems so unnecessary. You're right. It's like we don't really see him purge the Jedi Temple. We see him ignite a lightsaber in a room full of younglings, and we see on the holocron security recording later him defeating some Jedi, younger Jedi. But I agree with you. Where are all the adult Jedi Masters, and why don't we see him defeating any of them? I guess a lot of them are out with clone troopers, which leads us into the Order 66 montage, which I think is a great scene and powerful, and I love the music and everything like that. But I do, every time I watch it, I'm like, I know this is already maybe a bloated movie where they got to cut down on the runtime, but can they make these Jedi Masters a little bit more competent? Like, they are going out like punks in this montage.
Yeah.
I'm like, Kiadi-Mundi turns around like, what? Like a geriatric old man, like, what's going on? And
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
then they start shooting him. He like deflects 3 blasters and goes down. In the Jedi Temple, the kid who rolls out when Bail Organa comes, he takes out more clone troopers than the rest of the Jedi Masters combined in the Order 66 montage.
Yeah. That's George Lucas's son, by the way.
That is George Lucas's son. And I'm like, this kid as a Padawan, teenager, maybe not even a teenager, is holding his own better than all of the rest of the Jedi Masters in Order 66.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I love this scene. Ayla Secura on Fallujah or whatever is.
Oh yeah, that's right.
On the planet. She doesn't even ignite her lightsaber. She kind of like looks around like maybe she's starting to sense something. The clones start shooting her in the back. She's on the ground, presumably dead, and they're just still holding the triggers, blaster bolts raining down on her. And I'm like,
Rain, huh?
I'm like, wow, she didn't even put up any type of fight on Order 66. And so I've always thought that as I watched that montage of, were none of them more capable of defending themselves? I mean, you can still show them die, but go out with a little bit more of a fight, man.
Yeah, is Yoda the only one that got away from his clones?
And Obi-Wan.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Obi-Wan got away too. Yeah, I agree. The for people who are built up to be these really great fighters and keepers of the peace and amazing knights, boy, they certainly don't know how to block a shot from a clone trooper instead of a droid.
Yeah, so Anakin's whole motivation for the Jedi Temple is Palpatine tells him that he needs to gain more power in the dark side by doing evil things, basically. And so he goes, that's why he's killing all the younglings and stuff like that. But once again, I don't like that his motivation to do evil is love. Doesn't make sense to me.
I think now we transition over to Mustafar. Anakin is sent there by Palpatine, or I guess now Darth Vader is sent there by Palpatine to finish off the Trade Federation and to end the war, to bring peace to the galaxy. And, well, he has a little visitor come, his old pal, his brother, Obi-Wan Kenobi. They were just joking just about 50 minutes ago. They were having a good old time, laughing. And now all of a sudden, Anakin is upset with Obi-Wan, which I'm not sure why Anakin's upset with him, other than he thinks he brought Padme along.
No, he thinks Padme brought Obi-Wan there to kill him.
That's right. Yes. Had that backwards.
But it is interesting because in the last conversation he has with Padme before he goes to Mustafar, he says, Padme goes, what about Obi-Wan? And Anakin is ambiguous on it. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he's still loyal to the Republic and to the Chancellor or whatever. So it seems like he's still kind of on the fence, or he's just lying to Padme, because all of a sudden when they're on Mustafar now, he's enraged that Obi-Wan is there.
Right.
When it's like, you're not even going to try to talk it out or anything. Like, you're just automatically, I'm force choking the love of my life here because I see Obi-Wan's face. Like, oh, wow, okay.
Well, to reframe it, I'm force choking the love of my life because I love her. Like,
right.
I've turned to the dark side for her, and now I'm going to force choke her.
Let her go, Anakin!
Yeah. I love you, therefore I am doing evil thing, which is his pattern.
And we have the infamous line of only a Sith that deals in absolutes.
Yeah,
Good
well,
old.
right before that, I will say this is our last, I feel like, significant scene with Padme, where she says, "You're breaking my heart. You're going down a path I can't follow," which always makes me feel like this, like, what is happening with this dialogue? But
Why do you love him again, Padme?
exactly, that's what I always think. I'm like, where is Episode 1 Padme? Episode 3 Padme is a tragedy from where we started with Episode 1, and I'm like, this dude turned on a dime. Like, he is unstable, Padme.
What?
He has turned on a dime. He's murdering children. Like, why did you ever fall in love with him? I still don't get it, really.
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
But here we are, and only a Sith deals in absolutes. Let the memes begin, and thus commences the greatest lightsaber duel in the entire Star Wars saga.
This may be the biggest sticking point between where you and I disagree. Okay, let's take a general view of this lightsaber battle. We need to show two equals going at it as brothers turned enemies. Well, one guy hates the other guy. The other guy still loves him and still wants him to. I assume Obi-Wan still loves him and wants him to come back, right? Anakin is far beyond that, wants to kill Obi-Wan. That's what we need to get out of this lightsaber battle. Equals going at it. No one can best the other. And we get that for much of this battle, but we get it in the worst way possible, in my opinion. Too much theatric, too much swinging from cables, too much lava flowing everywhere. Like, I understand where we need to go and what needs to happen here, but it's done in all the wrong ways.
Okay, so I agree with you. Some of the choreography obviously is a little embellished. But I think what's awesome about it, this is what I love about it. One, I don't think they're equal. I think that Anakin is clearly more powerful. If you watch the duel, Obi-Wan is on the defensive almost the entire time.
I think he's playing the defensive because he doesn't want to kill his friend.
No, I think it's because he's not powerful enough to defeat Anakin on the offensive. Obi-Wan is way better at defense. He's not going to overpower Anakin.
You're bringing up an interesting point. I never thought of it that way. I always saw it as Obi-Wan, always blocking, always, because he is not going to attack. He's only going to defend.
I mean, maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's a combination of both. I mean, we get to the end of it, and clearly Obi-Wan isn't afraid to cut down Anakin. That's what he ultimately does. I think that Obi-Wan he realizes that his strength is not going to be going power for power. I don't think he's as strong powerfully in the Force as Anakin is. So I love the choreography of the lightsaber battle that Obi-Wan is mostly on the defensive. There are moments here or there where they're kind of in a, stalemate or equal or whatever.
When they're pushing each other?
Right. I get what you're saying, that some of it is theatrical. When they're swinging from the lava things, that's about as, theatrical as it gets. But it doesn't last that long. It's not like the whole duel is like that.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
And then what I really like is at the end when they're floating on the lava droids, they have a very, very interesting dialogue to me, which I think is one, interesting that they're in the middle of this really physically exerting duel, but they're also having their entire like emotional relationship is also crumbling. And so kind of the overlay of that is interesting to me when Obi-Wan eventually says, you know, you were meant to destroy evil or whatever. Or I forget what he says. And Anakin says, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
And that I'm like, what are you talking about, Anakin? If anything, Palpatine has just told you that you're only going to be able to save Padme if you become more evil and turn to the dark side and do evil things to gain more power in the dark side. So how all of a sudden do you think the Jedi are evil? Like, what have the Jedi done that's so evil?
The only thing the Jedi have done is they have attacked Palpatine.
Yes.
Everything rests on Mace Windu attacking Palpatine and trying to kill him. But that is not a good enough reason, again, for him to think the Jedi are evil. Because, hello, you just did that. Remember Dooku?
Ironic.
Right. Right. So I understand that you think that it's too theatrical or whatever, but I still think it's a highly satisfying battle and entertaining battle to watch. I actually enjoy that more than the Yoda Palpatine lightsaber battle that is cutting in and out at the same time as the Mustafar lightsaber duel.
This is what I think of the Yoda Palpatine duel. Boring. I enjoy it. I enjoy that they are destroying the Senate, even though he is the Senate.
I am the Senate.
I do not like the fingernail scrape. That is so cringy. I hate it. But I do like it. I like they're kind of equals, and I don't like that Yoda runs away though. I don't like that. He has a chance to do something, and I feel like Yoda should. I don't know his reasoning for giving up, honestly. He says to bail like he must go into hiding, so I get the sense that he's like, I'll fight another day, but I don't feel like I don't think he gave it his all. I'm just gonna say it right now, Yoda. I don't think you gave it your all against Palpatine.
Yeah, this is another moment that I think is weighed down by the original trilogy dictates that Yoda has to end up on Dagobah.
Uh-huh.
And so, when he's fighting Palpatine, one, that he's not going to defeat Palpatine, but you also have to know that Palpatine's not going to kill Yoda because both of those characters are going to survive to the original trilogy.
So the question is, do we even need a fight?
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Yeah, I think that is a good question. Do we even need it? Because to me, in my opinion, the Anakin Obi-Wan duel is way more interesting and intense, and I'm more engaged in that one. And every time it cuts to the Yoda Palpatine, there are definitely some cool scenes. Like I love the Senate backdrop and setting, and they're hurling these huge discs and floating discs at each other, and Yoda's catching the Force lightning and pushing. There's some cool stuff that we see for sure, but in terms of the narrative and the plot, I don't think it's really that necessary. And I agree with you. I think Yoda gives up way too easily.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they were to do a better job of showing that Yoda was like injured beyond like ability to get up or something.
Very injured, or was just getting railed on and just getting pounded like, I don't know, black eye or purple eye or whatever would happen for him. Like I would have a much better be like, okay, get out of there, fight another day. But he's just like, whew, I'm gonna go to Dagobah,
Yeah. I mean, but we see him, he's lying kind of on the ground. It cuts back to Mustafar. When it comes back, he's like scurrying through some little pipe or something.
Harry,
careful timing we will need.
And I'm like, he obviously is nimble enough to scurry through this little pipe. Like, you couldn't get back up and keep fighting. Like, I didn't understand that. Because I didn't feel like the Emperor really had the upper hand at that point. It was just that Yoda didn't have any real estate to fall back on from the blast of the Force lightning. But so yeah, go ahead.
I wouldn't mind if that scene was taken out and something else was put in, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. I have kind of an overarching thing I want to talk about, but I do want to go back to this Anakin Obi-Wan fight with the punching that's happening on the table. Like, that's weird to me. The like little fisticuff battle they have, where like they lose their lightsabers and like, ugh. That's just silly. It's silly to me. I mean, the only thing I liked from that fight, besides the end, is when they're in the tight hallway and they're spinning, and there's got sparks flying. That to me is cool. But everything else is snooze fest.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it gets to the point where obviously the classic scene, Obi-Wan saying, "I have the high ground," which you then should flash up a montage of Darth Maul also had the high ground, and you sliced him in half. So there's a pattern here of Obi-Wan's arrogance in lightsaber duels where he's like, clearly I'm going to win this. When there's no history of him ever being successful in those situations. But ultimately, obviously, he chops down Anakin. And once again, Anakin has to survive and become Darth Vader, but you have to wonder if Obi-Wan really loves him like a brother. Why are you going to let him just die a slow, painful death, burning to death? Why don't you just go up and kill him?
There's two things. Obi-Wan has two options here if he loves him like a brother. The first one is you go and save him. You pick him up, you put him in a healing pod, get him in a bacta tank, you heal him. And you say, you were misguided. Padme is here. Okay. The second option is end his misery.
Yes.
But he chooses none of them. He chooses to let him burn alive on the side of a volcano.
Yes.
A brother would not do that. Sorry. I wouldn't do that to my brothers. Nope.
Yeah, so that always has been like interesting choice, Obi-Wan. So anyway, obviously Anakin finds him. We get the scene of Padme and Anakin. The mirror of Padme is giving birth and slowly dying, and Anakin is slowly dying but being given new life with his new artificial suit that he is going into.
Have you seen the fan theory that Palpatine is draining the life from Padme and putting it into Anakin? I recently discovered it, and I absolutely love it. And yes. I love it because of the book of Darth Plagueis, which is no longer canon, but is still worth a read until they replace it with something else, because that book deals exactly with that. And it is fascinating, and it totally makes sense, and it gives Padme's death a little bit more, okay, this now makes sense, other than she's lost the will to live.
Yeah, dying of a broken heart type thing, to me, that doesn't make any sense.
But two small children just gave birth to. You don't love them. Obviously, you love them.
Yeah, you would live for them, even if your love of your life husband betrayed you and abused you. You would still live for the kids, right? Well, I think I've heard that theory, and I think it's fantastic as well, because it also explains when Vader, one of the first things that he says to Palpatine is, "Where's Padme?" And Palpatine says, "It seems in your anger you killed her." How would Palpatine know that she's dead?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Like, how does Palpatine know at all that she is dead?
And Darth Vader says, "But I felt her. She was alive. I felt her."
Yeah.
And you see the little smile, the sly smile come up on Palpatine's face.
No! Time to abandon ship.
And I would have focused on Dark suit, red lightsaber, Darth Vader.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
That's insightful. I think that would actually go really well with my big change, which would have been have Padme have the kids, have them grow up to at least toddler age, have Palpatine orchestrate an assassination of Padme, which would drive Anakin, and frame the Jedi, which would drive Anakin to the dark side. And then possibly, along that path, him go into the suit and become Darth Vader, and it end with this culmination of Anakin thinking Obi-Wan killed Padme, and they have this battle like you're talking about, and it's a stalemate, and it ends up being, I don't know how somehow the kids get taken or whatever. And
so I guess the two problems that I see with both of our theories is he has to become Darth Vader somehow.
Yeah.
So he has to be destroyed physically, and he can't know about Luke. He only knows about one of the kids, right? He never knows there's twins. He knows she's pregnant, right?
He knows that she is pregnant. He doesn't, but in the original trilogy, he never knows that he has a child. In fact, when Palpatine tells him he's the son of Anakin Skywalker, I think Vader says something to the effect of, that's impossible.
Right.
So he doesn't think in the real version of episode 3, not our changed version, our theory, but in the real version of episode 3, Anakin does not think that those children were born.
Oh, you're right. He thinks the child is killed with her then, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. He doesn't know it's a twin until he senses in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Luke betrays Leia, and he says, "You're thinking upon your sister,"
Yeah.
Your feelings for them are strong, especially for sister. So, you have a twin sister.
There's a lot that could be cut out of this movie, and a lot more that could be added, and it does its job in setting up the next movies. We get Yoda on Dagobah. I still do not understand why. Let's put our kids, we need to take these kids into hiding, right? We need to take Luke and Leia into hiding. Where do we put? Leia makes sense. I don't know. Give her to Bail Organa. They've always wanted a daughter. Race her on Alderaan. We'll raise her on this peaceful planet. I can get it. That makes sense to me. She can kind of hide in plain sight, right? And Luke, on the other hand, where do they take him? But the one place that Anakin, or now Darth Vader, I feel like it would be stop number 1 on his trip of. But I guess if you're saying now that he didn't think any child was born, he wouldn't be looking for anyone. I don't know. I still feel like he still would have gone back to Tatooine to visit his mother's grave, right?
I don't like sand.
Doesn't he still love his mother? He still would have. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he has no care about Tatooine and the large homestead. So they're like, let's just put him there. Darth Vader's never coming here. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Let's hide the child where his mother is buried.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But like I said, they're hampered by the fact that the original trilogy has a plot that they have to lead to. And so decisions are made at the end of that movie that obviously are like, this is shoehorned in to explain the original trilogy. C-3PO getting his mind wiped. Yoda telling Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon has communed with me to teach me how to be a Force ghost. Things like this. Or it's like
Force ghost too.
Yeah, it's like, how convenient, interesting,
I do not think Chewbacca should have been in the movie. I mean, obviously I don't mind, but I felt like that was very much a shoehorn that was unnecessary. I'm kind of now, I guess I'm now interested in to what happened in between Chewbacca Episode 3 and Chewbacca Han Solo, and how he became a man-eater. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, I mean, those are things that don't bother me. I don't mind that. I didn't mind Chewbacca being in there because it is. I don't mind fan service if that's what it is, fan service. It's not like Chewbacca had some major part of the plot where he was like a hero of the movie. It's just like, all right, there's a little cameo for Chewbacca. That's fine with me. Um, I think this movie, obviously, I had plenty of things that I would change or that I criticized about the movie. I do have it ranked so high because I think it will always have a soft spot in my heart as the movie, the biggest Star Wars event of my adolescence, basically.
Yeah.
I was 15, 16 when it came out, the height of my Star Wars kind of fandom. I was like a 16-year-old that thought Star Wars was the coolest. I still think Star Wars is the coolest, but it really was this special time in my life of this is awesome. The anticipation was huge. There was no social media for me to be like, it was just me in my own mind of this is going to be awesome. And I loved it. I thought it was so great. And we've talked about this before. It wasn't until I was much older that, not much older, but a few years later that I started to learn, oh, I'm not supposed to like the prequels. They're all terrible. So, I mean, really, Revenge of the Sith, I thought was just like the greatest movie. I thought it was so great.
I remember thinking, how come it doesn't win any Oscars? Like, seriously, guys. Like, best picture right here.
I know. I mean, it definitely has its flaws. All the prequels do, man. I mean, these movies got ripped apart and still get ripped apart, and I will watch any of the three of them and enjoy myself.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad we did this kind of look back on the prequels. They have a lot of faults, as we've found through our 3 videos, but overall, we still love them. We still watch them. If it's on, I'll sit down and watch the whole thing. No problem. I do remember when episode 3 ended, I might have teared up a bit, thinking, this is it. Like, this is the end. Like, you're never going to see another Star Wars movie again because George Lucas said, that's it. Luckily for us and for the Salty Sox fans, Disney thought otherwise.
That's right.
So, how about some $4 billion, George Lucas? We'll take that Star Wars off your hands.
That's right. I think they've already made it back.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'd be curious to hear in the comment section what some of the viewers think of episode 3. Are you like us? Were you in our age group where you grew up with the prequels and had those blinders on and goggles where you just loved them, or are you critical of them? What do you think of episode 3? What would you change? What did you think about our changes? We'd love to hear that. And what's our next? I guess the next, are we going chronological order? Are we doing Solo next?
Well, I feel like we just did Solo, right?
I guess so. We didn't really do that much. Well, whatever you want to do.
I wouldn't mind doing Solo. I was kind of excited to do Rogue One, but I don't mind doing Solo. I just thought we had just done it, so. Well, you'll just have to wait and see what we come up with next. But
we really should plan this out. We're like J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson right now.
Oh, by the way, I shared this tweet with you, Sean. I just want to. I don't know. You never responded, but so I think it's probably a stupid thing. But in regards to the episode 9 trailer music, did you get that tweet I sent you?
Oh yeah, I did. That was interesting.
This guy looks at the leitmotifs, all the different themes that are in the trailer for the music for the trailer. And at the very end, when they see the ruins of the Death Star, which I assume is Death Star number 2, and they hear the Emperor's laugh, the guy says that there's a little bit of an Ewok theme built in to that final bit of music, which I don't think means we'll see Ewoks. I'm still taking the under, but I do think it is on Endor, or the forest moon of Endor. But we'll see. I'm excited to see what prequel information JJ said. This is the tying up of not only the 7, 8, 9, It's a tie-up of all 9 movies. So I'm interested to see what callbacks he brings in. Maybe we'll see Watto. Maybe we'll see Dex. Maybe we'll see Jar Jar Binks.
Yes, Darth Jar Jar, you mean. And let me tell you this. Let me ask you. The Emperor has survived all these years in the Death Star debris. How do you think he gets any sustenance? I'll have one answer for you. 2 words. Ewok meat. There's your leitmotif.
There you go. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time on the Salty Socks. And in the meantime, Sean, what should they do?
They should cut their nails. Why are you holding nail clippers?
No, they're supposed to keep those socks salty.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, they should keep those socks salty.
There we go. Okay, see you guys.